Callum starts the Dragon Prince as a complete nervous wreck. That's not to demean him, but it is the truth. It's an accurate description. He's lonely, he's awkward, and he is very unsure of himself. Yes, he has a kind heart, and yes, his loyalty to his brother Ezrin is admirable, but he's completely lost in life. Part of his insecurity is just because he's a teenager, and being 14, 15 isn't easy for anyone, but it's a lot more grand and sociological than that in Callum's case. Callum is the step prince of Catalis, as Soren calls him in one of Soren's more bullying moments. Queen Sarai is Callum's mother, but King Harrow is not his father. The only reason he is considered a royal is that his mother, sometime after his birth, met Harrow and married him. As such, Callum has no royal blood coursing through his veins, so he is not the crown prince of this kingdom, even though he is significantly older than his brother Ezrin. Who is he? What is his place in this world? What is his fate going to be? He doesn't seem to have a good answer to any of these questions, especially considering that his mother dies before the events of the series, leaving him very much alone. While the doubting prince who needs to become more confident and secure in himself is a common archetype, Callum is a bit of a variation on that archetype because his connection to the royal family itself is tenuous. With his mother dead, there is nothing that really ties him to Harrow and the royal family. If Harrow had just thrown him out, yeah, Harrow's reputation probably would have suffered, but say Harrow had decided to send him to go live with some relatives, made up some excuse that, oh, they can take better care of him. Meanwhile, Callum loses his point of entrance into the court. He's not really royalty. That connection is severed entirely. Nothing forces Harrow, not any laws or customs, to treat Callum like a son. Nothing forces him to treat Callum the same way that he treats Ezrin. And the fact that Harrow treats him so well nonetheless is very admirable. He never questions that Callum is in fact his son in spirit, if not biologically. But this leaves Callum in this weird liminal space. He knows what a prince is supposed to be from all the stories he's been told. Brave, wise, fearless. But he doesn't feel that he personally fits any of those characteristics. And this, combined with his very tenuous connection to the royal family biologically, makes him doubt whether he really should even be called a prince. Then his world explodes. A mysterious elven teenager, mistaking him for Ezrin, attempts to kill him, and instead of selling Ezrin out, Callum is prepared to die in his brother's place. Thankfully, he manages to prove to this elven teenager that she's wrong. That the dragon egg is not dead. It's not been broken. And indeed, Ezrin has it. So Callum lives, and he goes on a quest with this elven teenager to return the egg to its mother, Zubeia, the dragon queen. As they travel, Callum falls in love with this enigmatic elven teenager, and he realizes that they're both not as alone as they at first thought. They have each other. Callum becomes more self-assured, more confident. If you had told Callum at the beginning of The Dragon Prince that he would end up traveling to foreign lands and learning magic and falling in love with an alluring elven assassin and saving her life and helping broker peace between humans and elves and the war that has raged for a very long time between them, he would have called you crazy. He would have thought you were just fulfilling his most selfish and childish power fantasies. It seems like something Callum concocts in his imagination to try and allay his anxieties about only being kind of a prince. That it doesn't feel like a power fantasy either to Callum or us, the viewers, is a testament to a few things. Most of all, it owes to Callum's struggle throughout this poignant narrative. Wonders do not magically appear to him. While he does receive a few nice turns of fate, he takes advantage of those opportunities by being committed and determined and inventive and curious. He's not fearless, but he doesn't have to be. He knows how to face those fears and navigate through them to try and make the lives of himself and those he cares about better. This is crucial to why Callum's narrative is cathartic instead of being cheap and sentimental, but also essential is the grief he suffered. To demonstrate why Callum's narrative really works for me, let me compare it to our age's most famous story about a random boy who's magically sucked into a world of adventure and wonder and myth. That being Harry Potter. I know those who find Harry, especially in the later works in the series, a very annoying protagonist. They say he's too bland and uninteresting, and they don't really empathize with a lot of his emo complaining in the last couple works in the series. I don't agree with either of these complaints, but I think the second one about Harry's angst isn't entirely unreasonable. Early in his career as a literary critic, the great poet T.S. Eliot coined the term objective correlative. It's basically a fancy way to say that a character's reaction emotionally should match the intensity of what they endure. And if there's a mismatch there, the work suffers. Now, this idea is very reductionist. Art is not a math problem, nor should it be. And Eliot, trying to reconcile this cold, objective theory with his expansive view of history and with his spirituality, moved away from it as he got older. But I do think it's an idea that has some value nonetheless. I do agree with the criticism that it's harder for us to empathize with Harry's struggle because he's still kind of living the good life. He's been elevated from living in a closet in the house of a bunch of cheap Dickensian caricatures of the idle idiot bourgeois. Compared to that, even when bad things happen to him in the magical world, it is still comparatively better. And so it's kind of tempting to say, hey, stop complaining. You were just an ordinary kid and now you get to live in a world of magic. I'd go through a lot more to be in your place. Even when Cedric dies and Harry loses his childhood innocence and nobody believes him about Voldemort's return, it's kind of hard for some people to feel so bad for him because none of that reverses the grand triumph he's made going from a nobody to someone who studies at a school of magic. Now, Callum's life is different. He lives a relatively peaceful, if mundane, life in Gatalis before the events of the Dragon Prince. He loses his mother, yes, and that's crushing, but he still has Harrow, and Harrow is very fatherly and thoughtful toward Callum. As the series progresses, he gains confidence and the ability to use magic, and he forms a romantic relationship with a brilliant and supportive partner. But he also loses his childhood innocence. And not just because someone he knew died, like in Harry's case, but because that person was his father, or his surrogate father, King Harrow. the one person who cared about him the most in the world. Every parental figure Callum knew is gone from his life, and that's crushing. Callum is finally free, it is true, from the expectations of others and his own debilitating self-doubts. But, as Sartre once put it, freedom is a condemnation. It means no one can tell you what is right and wrong. No one can make decisions for you. Instead, you're forced to forge your own path. You carry on your own shoulders the burden of every decision that you make. It is both a liberating experience and a terrifying one. Callum can never return to innocence. He can never go back to a time when he had two supportive parental figures, or even when he just had King Harrow there for him. He can't return to a time when the horrors of the world were nothing but the stories of the books he read. The world has changed him, and in the words of Coleridge, he's a wiser man, but a sadder one. Thankfully, he has his friends, he has his brother, Ezrin, and he has Rayla to help him. Like Callum, Rayla has lost 3 parental figures, and though they're not dead, she can relate to his pain and suffering, and his desire for stability, and his desire to really form an identity for himself out of the muck of all that he's suffered. This isn't to undervalue his pain, but Callum can better endure that pain and make a brighter future for himself and the world because he has Rayla with him. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching The Dragon Prince. It is a brilliant, empathetic, lovely, warm, challenging show. And I can't wait to see where it goes from here. These past 3 seasons have been wonderful, and whenever season 4 comes, it'll be wonderful as well. So anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Promise you that. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.